Well, all right. So this is my final project, Start the Ripple. It is a positive news application. I named it Start the Ripple because it's kind of like a ripple in the river, or like chaos theory, or the butterfly effect. Whereas if you do one small change, you can have like a massive, significant impact on the world. So before I get to the next slide, let me change my camera here. Okay. So in order to get this idea, I realized that, in most cases, like knowledge gets you power, and with power, a lot of people have purpose, and with that purpose, they try to influence those around them. And that's actually a really good thing. You should focus on right here, as you can see, your circle of influence. Um, but a lot of people, whenever you watch the news or consume the news, like the news outlet and the mainstream media, you're focusing more on factors you really can't control, is your outside circle of influence. And I think it's really positive to see the silver lining in things and just simply be positive, because you can be a light to the world and the people around you if you just simply focus on things that you actually can change. And I got this example from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. Okay, so some technologies that I used for this application, well, for my front end, I use HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Jinja. And then for my back end, I use Python and Flask. And then you'll see that it is absolute news, or I mean, sorry, API galore, with using News API, YouTube API, YouTube Transcript API, and the Hugging Face Transformer API. And for this, I use the BART model, and you'll see shortly what BART does. Okay, so this website covers 4 niches, the reason why is to lower the level of complexity and also to lower API calls, which is going to be, you'll see the challenges that I had shortly and why it's important. But yeah, the 4 niches were technology, health, science, and education. And so let's get into the homepage. So for the homepage here, you'll see in my nav bar up here that I have home, and then the 4 niches: tech, health, science, education. And then I have this one called YouTube. We'll get into that shortly. There's also a quote of the day. This is just a Python library getting a random quote of the day. That's actually that's positive. And then of course you see a funny video of the day, cat video. Who doesn't love cat videos? I mean, that's a great way to get your day started with a smile. Not only does it do cats, but it also has cats, dogs, squirrels, most animals. That and it also has, it gets little parameters on YouTube. Like it'll do something like cat funny, or funny cat, or funny dog, and it's kind of like you went on YouTube and you search for that. But anyways, it gets it here really succinctly and quick. And then you'll see this ripple counter. This actually doesn't do anything. There's really no functionality of this on the website. I just thought it'd be kind of cool. Like if you were to share the website, it would have how many people shared it, kind of like the chaos theory again, how many people it actually touched or affected. But right now, it just does a simple random number. Now here, let's get into the first niche, or just an example of a niche, education. So you'll see right here from this website that it gets today's education news summary. And then from here, it gets from BBC News. From BBC News, it gets the headline. And then not only does it get the headline, it gets a just short description of the article. And this is from the News API that I used, like literally News API. That's a great name for an API, right? And I got where it's published. And then not something I probably could have improved on. The user can actually click on these thumbnails, as you can see down here, and it'll go to the article. So if you do find that something that seems interesting, you want to click on it, well, heck, you can actually click on it and go to the article. And the page is propagated, which I didn't show, but it is propagated by multiple articles, and you can click on any of them that you find interesting. So here's an overview of the article API usage. And this is, again, the News API. So the user clicks on a category like you've seen in the nav bar. And then once they click on a category, the News API fetches an article, and then the website propagates articles fitting criteria. And what does that mean? Like, for example, like in the example for education, if you click on education, in the back end, my application is doing something like inspiring education or a hopeful education. So pretty much it's like adding a parameter before the niche to help you get positive news. So you're not gonna see something like maybe negative, like maybe some politics or something like that, or unfortunately the latest something very depressing that happened. So a little bit more positive, to fit the theme of Start the Ripple. And here's just another example. Here's just one for tech. And again, we're getting the headline, we're getting the description here, a little short description, and then again, of course, you can click on each thumbnail that you find interesting. Okay, and then YouTube. So let's get into this. It's not exactly a new niche. Right here, I'm using the YouTube API. I probably should have shown a little bit better, but here you can actually click on this drop down to click on one of these niches. You can click on a tech niche, health niche, science niche, or an education niche. And it will go on YouTube and search one of these niches, except it will have like positive tech or positive health or uplifting science. I'll use these parameters to find inspiring or uplifting YouTube videos. But a little bit different here is not only, again, like how the article, like where you can click on the video and go right to the YouTube video, and again, you get the title, but you see where it shows description like before in the article. This is not a description. This is actually a summary, which I found really cool. Like you can literally get all of your videos for the day like within just a couple of seconds, because this API, or my web application is doing a summary of all these videos using Google's API or the YouTube API. And then the overview of the video API usage. So a user clicks on a category, and then the YouTube API fetches some videos, and then it goes to a YouTube transcript API. So this is another API I didn't quite talk about yet, and it simply takes a transcript, or like the subtitles that you see on a video. It takes that. Of course, we're going to need that because we need that to summarize it. But real quick, back with the transcript API, what was really cool about this is not only does it get a transcript, but even even videos that don't have a transcript, it gets the auto-generated transcripts. So whether there's a transcript or not, it's still pretty much going to get a transcript. And then it goes to the Hugging Face transformer, which in this case is BART, which is going to summarize our articles for us. And then the website, as you've seen before, it propagates video transcripts fitting that criteria. Okay, and like the criteria again is like positive or uplifting, or the parameters that were used in the back end of my application to find positive news or videos. So some challenges that I had with the project. So see, the GPU was not recognized due to an experimental operating system version that I had. So I'm using Ubuntu. I'm using an experimental version of that, and I found out that hey, it really doesn't work that well. I had to end up using CPU to summarize all the transcripts instead of GPU. If you don't know, large language models love GPUs and not so much CPUs. So this caused an issue with long load times, which you can see down here. Is long load times loading on the web page. And so that's not a very good user experience. I mean, most people are wanting snappy website experiences, and not something so much where like you have to wait like 30 seconds to even 60 seconds, even in some cases 2 minutes, depending on how long the transcripts are, to use the website, or at least for the YouTube part of the website. Now, another issue I had was I needed to limit YouTube calls to avoid API cost. That was one thing I found out, because before APIs were really mysterious to me. I really had no idea how to use them. I mean, I know we did one-on-one problem set, but other than that, I really didn't know how to use them, especially like Hugging Face Transformer API or the YouTube API. And it was really important to avoid API costs, because I found out really quickly it can get out of hand, and this becomes more than just a free project, and it can actually cost quite a bit. Like for example, like the News API, it's like $400 some a month if you have a lot of users. Also, I had to find out a way to lower the API calls. Also, there's a tokenization limit with the BART model or the Hugging Face Transformer. We'll get into that just a little bit. You'll see. But anyways, for all the large language models and transformers, tokens are a little bit have a little bit of a different definition depending on which one you're using. In this case, tokens are roughly about 1 word a token. So if you have like a sentence that's 10 words and you want to summarize that, well, that took up 10 tokens. And then there's a language context limitation that I had with using BART. So what I found out from using BART, that like maybe for example your first paragraph that you take a summary of, well, it doesn't get context from the future paragraph, or the future paragraph doesn't get context from the previous paragraph. And that starts to become a little bit of an issue, because in real world conversations, or when people try to summarize something, it's important to take context from each paragraph that you read and not in so much isolation. As well, there's a little bit of a context issue where, say for example, you run up, say you have like a limitation of like 800 tokens. One of your sentence happens to end in the middle of that limit, right? So what that would mean is like you end like halfway on a sentence and you lose the last half of the sentence. So you just completely lose out on some context there. So I was able to solve this a little bit, but it's not quite there. But I am still happy that I did this because I learned so much about APIs. Okay, so let's go into the long load times just a little bit. As you can see here, this is the start of my solving the issue with the long load times and just simply getting to work. This is more of solving the context issue. Is it processes chunks of a script. So right here, like 220 words are chunked or got from the script, and then 225 words. So this way it goes on the upper limit. For this project, I think the limit or the tokenization limit was 800. So I'm like very, very below 800. I'm never getting across that. So that way I can get really good summaries of just a small number of words. And so some limits with tokens and context again, like, okay, so there's actually a limit of 1,000 tokens. I went down to 800 just to not get up, just not to go to the upper limit of 1,000, because I didn't want to lose out on any context. I wanted to get as much context as I possibly could for my web application. Okay, the program has no way of determining when a sentence ends. That's just kind of a limitation with my code, and as well as a limitation with using a Hugging Face transformer. The tokenization limit forces a loss of context because it can't look into the past, or into the past like paragraph. That's really important for context. Okay, but real quick, I just want to show you this animation that I made. I was really proud of it. Hopefully it's a little bit helpful to you. But anyways, what's going on is it's showing the limits of tokenization, and it's showing what's kind of like a visual representation of what's going on in my code. So anyways, I'll just let it play for a bit. And so this is going into, all these words are going into like a chunk, and then it calculates the summary. And here's what was left out of the summary. So there's some little missing context, but then here it goes into a chunk. It tries to get it. And then once it goes into here, it again tries to find the summary. And here you can see in the green right here was the summary sentence of the last paragraph. And see, it's just going to keep doing this again. As you can see, my tokenization limit was going up to 800, and once it gets up to 800, it has to do a summary here because it can't go past that. And then once it fills this up, the tokenization limit will go back down to 0. And as you can see, it does another summary, and it's going to add this down to here to my green right here. This is going to be the summary, and that's what's showing up on the website. And then again, so here's another issue I had, was that limiting the YouTube API calls. Okay, well, without limiting the YouTube API calls, if you look up good news or positive news, there's an issue. It might find like dozens and dozens or even hundreds of videos, and you can use more parameters to limit that. But one way I found around it was no transcripts with don't load videos with no transcripts. So yeah, I did say earlier that it will get a transcript from videos without them. That's a little bit of a white lie. YouTube, they do have an auto-generated transcript feature on their platform, but not all videos even or aren't able to auto generate. So in these, what this does is it's simply finding transcripts or videos that don't have a transcript, and it's simply not loading those. And a cool hack I found is the following video ID gives more API calls. So on your free time, if you want to, you can simply Google that or search it up in YouTube, and you'll see like it's really neat a hack that I found. So that's probably one way I could possibly lower my API cost. And then another part, and this is just a little quick snippet of my code for the API calls. As you can see here, it's detecting if there's the titles in English or the descriptions in English. If it's not in English, then I don't really want to get the video or the transcript for it, because that's a wasted API call, and I don't want to try to pay for that for something that's not really usable for the website. So I'm assuming that everyone who's going to use the website, or most people, speak English. And then also, like right here before in this if statement, you'll see, is there a transcript available? That's one of my functions that I had, and it's just like, if there is there even a transcript available? If there's not, then simply don't even try to get that transcript. And then some other ideas just real quickly, because we're coming at the end of the project. Like you could possibly collect emails. It's kind of like how the start the ripple at the bottom of the web page was. Is kind of the idea for it. I could send niche or news to users on their specified niche. I thought that'd be kind of a cool idea. And another thing I might even do for myself is just only trending. So what this would do, instead of having those parameters of positive news, which I know, but instead of doing positive news, just do like normal trending news, and I'll maybe get like a top 10 trending. So that way you can get like, you can read the top 10 news articles in your specified niche really quickly, and not have to spend so much time trying to find them or trying to go through all the websites or all through YouTube to get your news. And then the last thing is just a CLI that'd be kind of cool for developers. You could just quickly fetch or get trending articles via the terminal and not have to worry about going to the website. All right, and that's the end of my project. It's been an absolutely amazing course. It's been great to go through all these problem sets. It was amazing. It's so fun to go through the project itself. I learned so much. I actually wanted to do more web scraping, but that didn't happen. But I'm still so thankful and happy I learned about API and API calls. Again, I know y'all hear it so much, but I just want to thank you for what you've done. Just they're actually providing like a free course to anyone, anywhere in the world. And I just think it's really important to, have gratitude and just be thankful for it. And because I know it's not everyone has access to things like this, and not only that, but not everyone really takes advantage of what they have. And I'm just really thankful that I found this, that you provide it, and that I did take advantage of it. Because again, it's just not everyone has that, and it means a lot to me that that's there. But anyways, thank you so much. And for the final time, this was CS50.